There's a reason why the suffragettes did some stuff. Anyway.
Ready? I'm Tommy Guy.
I'm Andrew Corway.
Rick.
I'm Rick Vieweg.
And I'm Sarah Stockdale. And this is Pagenerd. Welcome back, everyone.
Hello.
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 Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Oh, sorry, Sarah, you tried to host a podcast?
We are going to be doing the part 2 of Yesteryear. So if you haven't heard part 1 yet, this is not going to make any sense. And we're going to spoil the ending. But we'll give you a heads up before we do that. So if you want to listen until that point, we'll let you know when to head off. And just like the first episode, this is about trad wives and everything that comes with that, including child abuse and marital rape. So if that's not something you can listen to today, I completely understand. We've got lots of other books for you to pick from, and I hope to see you soon. Last episode, we left off at a very strange place. Tommy, where did we leave off?
We left off with the main character fantasizing, I think, about having sex with her father-in-law and having kids because he's a real man.
Yeah, her father-in-law had just agreed to fund Yesteryear Ranch, which is going to be their kind of back in time Mountains of Utah ranch for $5 million with the one condition that she must keep having babies with his son. And the second horrible trap condition that she will not have any ownership over this ranch. She will not be on the deed, and Caleb alone will own everything that she is working for. And she agrees to this.
She doesn't agree to that because he doesn't tell her that up front.
It's buried in the paperwork, she figures.
Yeah. And that's like, she's already bought the ranch. She's like, oh, by the way. And this is, so the father-in-law here, right? He's like this politician guy. He's a little bit H.W. Bush, a little bit Reagan. He's slimy and he knows what power is. And like, he knows exactly what he's doing there.
Yes. So just a reminder that this book kind of flashes forward, and then it's strange because it's the future, but she's going back to the past because she's woken up in 1855. So after we get this, we're treated to a flashback into the past where she's working on the farm and she starts musing that perhaps she's in a cruel reality TV show. She finds a piece of what she thinks is a lapel mic, so like a little black piece of plastic. And so she's starting to realize that like there's no way that she's actually in 1855. Something is going on, and potentially it's a reality TV show. I think maybe she's in hell or purgatory, but she doesn't seem to think that.
I think she's used to having an audience. So for her, the idea of like, oh, it's just like the next level of audience where like I'm not told that the audience is there, but I'm still performing for them. Like I think that's kind of where it comes from.
Yeah, the surveillance themes are heavy in this book.
For sure.
She also, her husband, and like, again, this is the danger of the trad wife culture and movement is that we forget everything that comes with women not having rights or bodily autonomy. And one of those things is marital rape was legal for a very long time. I don't know exactly when it became illegal and where, but it was like in our mother's lifetimes.
Humanity just forgets about stuff you don't have to deal with. Vaccines are the same way, where it's like all of these young children used to die from these terrible diseases, but it hasn't happened in a generation. So now people are not getting vaccines because they haven't seen children die from these terrible diseases. Like it just takes a generation to lose all of that memory about how shitty things were and what we did to make them better.
I just looked it up, Sarah. 1993 in the US
What?
and 1983 in this Canada.
Wow.
Oh, so in our lifetime.
Forget your mom. It's you're the change.
What?
Everything I learn about my gender is horrifying and what has happened to us.
Good start, guys. Ugh. 1993?
That's all the states. So I guess the first state to abolish it was Michigan, and that was in 1974.
So Caleb is basically like, hey, I've been letting you sleep in your own room for a while.
Letting you.
We're gonna end that, and we're gonna do some horrible marital rape. It is a strange way that it's written. I didn't love this choice by Caro Claire Burke because, one, like, he's able to get it up for the first time in their entire relationship. And I think it has to do with her subservience and his control. Because, previously in their relationship, she exerted more control and she was asking for it. And I think there's a horrible insinuation about what his preferences are there. But I'm pretty sure she has an orgasm. She seems to like it, which I didn't love as a choice.
Yeah, she's like combining with God. She like sees it as a biblical experience.
Yeah, okay. This was like, if you're in the head of this character, like I keep having coming back to this thing. This character buys into that narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Like buys into the narrative that like, well, he couldn't possibly rape me. I'm his wife. And like, there's a bit of a weirdness because she's like, is he? Because she's back in time. But in like the main timeline, like she wants a big, strong man. She wants this like patriarchal figure, right? She's like lust after her father-in-law, who is that. And then she goes back in time and he is that, but like he's that before this scene, right? He appears to be, we'll get to that, the breadwinner, like actually finally. He's horrible though. He like knocks her out. But this whole book has this weird thing about erectile dysfunction, and like a man's ability to get it up is like completely synonymous with, is he a man? And like in this part of the world, he's a man, and so he can get erections. And then when he's like normal Caleb, like he can't.
I thought it was like in the theme of the book, it was like she was obviously very much uncomfortable with what was going on.
Yeah.
But I read it the same way Tommy did, where like the theme here was like, okay, real men were born in 1880, right? Or 1850 or whatever she was, 1850. So she went back and she was having this experience, and it wasn't everything. She may have had an orgasm finally with her husband, but it was like all the trappings around it were like wrong. So there was like a conflict in my mind. So like she's not happy in 1850, right? She doesn't know what's going on. She's finding clues that there's weird things happening, but then there's also this thing that she thought she may have wanted, which is like a happy, or not a happy, but a satisfying marital partnership with her, having sex with her, satisfying sex with her husband. But it was like, that was the only thing that she got out of it at the cost of everything else. You can read it in a very, like you have to be a very dominating man in order to satisfy someone.
That definitely is the read. Yeah.
That's very much what she believes. Like the character. I don't know about the author. God, I hope not. But it's on brand for this character to want that. And she very clearly wanted that from the start from her husband.
But she, like, at the beginning of this sexual encounter, doesn't want it.
She doesn't want it anymore because it's not her husband.
This is a sexual assault.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
She's afraid. Like, this is a sexual assault.
Yeah.
Which, and sometimes sexual assaults do end in orgasm, that it's a biological thing, which is horrible, like, and really challenging for the people who have to go through that. But I didn't love that as a choice.
It didn't even make the book stronger, in my opinion.
No.
It was there.
Complicated.
Yeah.
Rape, which I don't know if I don't love that we're doing that, but it is a complicated thing. And so I guess she's highlighting that in a way that I found disturbing.
She also ties religion back to it, right? Like it is like she's talking about how she's experiencing God. Like that's how she describes the orgasm.
Oh, yeah. Her description of orgasm is all about the Lord.
So it's all kind of tied up in this mess. Yeah.
I got real, like, youth pastor vibes.
You know how people list on social media like my horror movies, and it's like the things that they specifically find horrifying? One of mine has got to be youth pastors, like youth pastor energy, like flip the chair around and sit on it backwards and like tell you about the Lord energy. Like that's one of my horror movies for sure.
You think you like drugs? You should try the Lord.
Rick, you would be really good at it.
No, thank you. I'm not turning this chair backwards.
Hat backwards too for you.
Hat backwards, chair backwards, like frat boy energy, but for the Lord.
Mm-hmm. If you turn a chair backwards and sit down, there's a very specific way a cool way to sit on it, where you put your leg like over the chair and then you sit.
Oh, it's the Riker maneuver.
Commander Riker on Star Trek used to turn the chair around and sit backwards all the time.
He also would get off it in the same way when he could, which was absolutely wild.
Riker's cool.
That character, so good.
He's not youth pastor energy.
Well, I don't know about that. He does some pretty fucked up stuff in that show.
Our producer Jay is telling us in the chat because Jonathan Frakes has a back problem. This is why he did that.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Oh, okay. So we're all taking our cues sitting backwards on chairs from a guy with back problems.
Okay, so we're going back to the past, which is modern day, and Natalie is building her Instagram following. She gets a break when one of Caleb's manosphere influencers gets a hold of the content and pushes it out to millions of followers. So overnight, she goes from a nobody to like a full-blown tradwife influencer. She doesn't have like any sort of like come up. It's just like overnight success, in quotes. It's interesting to me, and I think I mentioned it in our last episode, that it's a man who finds her and makes her famous because her content is appealing to the patriarchy. She's like, I'm going to carry water for y'all, even though, you know, it helps my own oppression. Cool. Mm-hmm. And once she becomes an influencer, she has this mental fracture. So she fractures into online Natalie, and she starts kind of talking about these two personas and like what is real and what is fake. And you can kind of see her mental health is kind of breaking down at this point. There's a scene when she goes to a grocery store and she meets a fan in the grocery store and they're fangirling over her and they're talking and she's like, you're so wonderful and beautiful and your life is so perfect. And then the fan walks her back to the car and she's left her infant in the car for this entire interaction. I physically cringed reading this. Like I was like struggling to read it.
That's a crazy thing to do, to abandon your infant in the car. I cannot imagine that.
As like a person who's cosplaying Perfect Mom and then be caught by your fan who thinks that this is who you are. And the fan is like, has your baby been in the car the whole time? And you see like this like internal mental breakdown that she's starting to have where she's like, I'm not online Natalie. I can't be her. I don't know how to do this.
This is before she hires help.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right.
So she's really trying to be the perfect wife and the influencer, like, you know, make some money and like sort of play the masculine role in the relationship as well as be a perfect mother. Like she feels to me like she's a single mom. Caleb's useless.
She has 5 kids at this point.
Potato dad energy.
Yeah, this is an ambitious woman. Like if you look at her past, she should be like I know it's like you said, Sarah. It's like the trad wife is like the anti-girl boss. But actually, like if you look at Natalie and her ambition and like her drive, she actually could be a very phenomenal girl boss if she was living more authentically, I think. But because she's tamping that down, right, with this trad wife lifestyle, it has to go somewhere. And it's turned into this ranch and this social media. So she's still doing it, but she's doing it in this way that like the only way that she can. So she's been tamped into this template, this mold that she doesn't really fit in, and she's popping out.
Yeah, she's popping out is a great way to phrase it. Absolutely.
It's funny because like the Mormon church actually encourages women to build YouTube followings because they see it as a form of like bringing people to the church. But like they're not allowed to be priests in the church. So you can't stand up in front of a congregation and say something, but you can say it to your 9 million followers. These women are arguably much more powerful than any of the men who are dictating the rules that they have to abide by. But there's like this loophole that they've found. This is like their way of having power and audience and money is social media. And so like they're saying like submit to your husband, women should stay in the home, you shouldn't work, while building fucking empires. Like it is the most hypocritical bullshit I've ever heard in my life. She's like, you shouldn't work, but I am at work right now telling you not to work. I'm on a stage.
My job is telling you to have no job.
It's multi-level marketing in some sense. Like the only job you're allowed to have is my job. Watch me to learn how to do it.
I love the idea. This is a whatever you said, marketing scheme.
Kind of all religion is though, right?
But like, I'm also going to tell you that you're not allowed to have my job. Like, you're not allowed to make money. Submit to your husband. Your husband should be the breadwinner as she's making millions of dollars.
For her husband.
We do see this as a problem for Natalie because she does start making a lot of money and she's siphoning it into a bank account that her husband, Caleb, doesn't know about. So she's literally trying to like create the thing she's telling women that they're not allowed to have, which is safety, which is financial safety
Yes.
and the ability to leave. I was reading about like women and entrepreneurs and money, because I'm an entrepreneur and I have my own business. And they were like, men try to be billionaires and women try to be free of men. Like if I have my own money, I don't have to work for this shitty boss who treats me horribly. I can tell the guy who's sexually harassing me to fuck off. Like I have a degree of safety that I wouldn't have without money. An audience brings a degree of safety and power as well.
It buys you security and freedom, right? Like, which you shouldn't have to work to get security and freedom, but you do.
And spoiler alert, Caleb finds the bank account and makes her put her Instagram money into their joint account.
And then she starts like funneling out just a little bit here and there, but not enough to make a meaningful change in her life.
She has $70K at the end, and the business has made like millions of dollars. So Natalie needs help. Caleb tells her she can only have a babysitter, which is directly from Ballerina Farm. So there is a New York Times interview where Ballerina Farm says, like, we don't have nannies, we only have babysitters, because her husband doesn't want them to have nannies. Babysitters are all that's okay. So I'm like, this was ripped directly from Ballerina Farm. And she also hires a producer. She's a 19-year-old from Brooklyn named Shannon. She's got pink hair. She's a Bernard dropout. She's got this like weird feminist version of, she thinks Natalie is a feminist. She calls the rat race, or like the regular 9 to 5, the maze, and says that like Natalie's found a way out of the maze.
Yeah. And so Shannon's trying to like also ride that, right? Like get a way out of the maze. Yeah.
She's reacting to the, what was the roommate's name?
Rena was her college roommate.
Rena.
So I think Shannon is the she's like reacting to that same passage about Rena's life, about like, oh, well, she's just gonna like work really hard at some consultancy and, you know, fight for every second of autonomy. And I think Shannon like buys into that vision of like, no, like being a trad wife and taking back your life and living on a farm authentically, you know, that's your way out. And I loved how they describe this as like a third type of viewer. I think there was like the traditionalists that are like aspiring to it, the hate watchers. And now there's this like, you know, next wave of feminism of like, no, just go live on a farm. Don't play the rat race. She's her own kind of true believer who is quickly disabused of her belief.
Yeah, I think the idea is like anyone that's popped out of the like traditional system is like the success story. So it's not about living on a farm necessarily. It's about like making something outside of working hard at the consultancy or whatever it is. Like they found this alternate path. I want to find an alternate path as well.
I get this so much on YouTube, by the way, but it's like I built a boat by hand and, you know, sailed it around someplace. And I'm like, that does seem nice.
Fuck, I love that though. That sounds great. We should build a boat.
Yeah, there's no like religious aspect. It's just like, I'm a craftsman. And it's exactly that same, like, you know, do you want to like sling code the rest of your life, or do you want to like build something
that you can touch?
Yeah, something you can touch. Oh man, the dream.
Oh, that's what Natalie was hoping for at the beginning of this book. So Shannon's like horrified immediately because she sees the pesticide barrels, all the nannies.
Because she's a true believer. She's like, oh, I thought this was like an organic farm. And there's like barrels of pesticide behind the barn.
And Natalie's like, oh, the help didn't clean up.
She doesn't seem connected to her kids. She kind of sees them all as like, you know, all the beige blonde kids.
Props.
Yeah. Her youngest daughter is following them around as she's giving Shannon a tour of the farm. And the whole time Natalie's like, ugh. Like, this kid keeps following us.
Where's the nanny?
How is she finding us?
Did you guys catch the line? I guess when she hired the nanny, she had this moment of relief where she realizes she'll never have to be with her kids alone again.
Yeah. She says, I'll never have to be alone in a room with my children again. And I was like, oh, this woman hates her kids.
Yeah. She's been traumatized.
Yeah, she's absolutely been traumatized.
Yeah.
Shannon is really good at her job. She's a really good producer. So she keeps her around even though she thinks that like something sneaky's going on. Like she thinks Shannon's watching them. She gets a little bit paranoid. Shannon's hanging out with Caleb too much. They're having lunch too much. But I can't fire her. She has all the passwords to everything. She could fuck my life over. And you're like, oh, I see what's coming. Another thing that I found, so remember when Caleb wanted desperately to be a kindergarten teacher and there's like this horrible tragic thing that, you know, he'll never be able to do that because of the gender binary crap. He has also gone like really far into the manosphere and really far into like some weird conspiracy theory shit. And he's given the nannies a curriculum to teach the kids that is bananas. And at one point, one of the kids asks, like, what is an ocean? And Shannon is horrified by this.
Well, I mean, what is an ocean really, though, you know?
She didn't believe them. She was like, that doesn't exist. Can't be oceans. It's too much water.
You get these glimpses of like the child abuse of the education that's going on as well. And you're like, oh, fuck. You just get these like little breadcrumb moments of like how bad these kids actually do have it. So the next thing that is kind of a big deal is they attend one of Doug's election rallies. And he's Trump. Like, it is a white supremacist Nazi rally.
He's like one of these asshole Republicans that looked at what Trump was doing and said, that's the future, I'll do it. He didn't start this way. He does not really believe that stuff. Because he sees what Caleb's doing. He sees what Natalie's doing. And he's like, oh, they're tapping into something that I need to tap into if I want to win the presidency. That's what he did. He just like decided to play along. And it got dark.
I think this is very real, though. Like, if you look at the despots in history, like Hitler, or like Pol Pot, whatever, like their initial rallies are kind of like confused. And Doug here, this is his third attempt at running for president, and he's not successful, right? And then, you caught a vein of like a way that you can create another, a category of other people to vilify, and then that becomes how you connect people, because negative shit,
it works,
as we know, in the internet, gets way more views and way more elicits way bigger reaction than benign or like neutral stuff.
Everybody's looking out for a threat.
Exactly. So everyone's looking out for a threat. It taps into something primal. So like, that was how I read it too. But I think to me, it was like very true with like all of the despots in history of like, they tapped into something, and it's actually like, which is kind of even creepier and more alarming to me than just that there are despots. It's like, no, the despots are playing off of us.
Mm-hmm.
And Caleb has brought him into the manosphere. Like, Caleb is actively showing Doug his chat rooms and all of the things that he's learning. And Doug is like threading that into his politics. There's so many depictions of like the quote unquote Home Depot workers. So you have this man who is relying on undocumented immigrant labor to run his farm that he has no idea how to run. And at the exact same time, he is like feeding those messages into power, which is, what a dick.
Very real, but what a dick.
Unfortunately, very real, yes.
Okay, quick pause before we keep chatting through this book. This episode is brought to you by Adobe Acrobat, and we love Adobe Acrobat. Acrobat has this really cool feature called PDF Spaces, which I love to use to organize our notes and files for this podcast. And I use it at my day job to collaborate with my team. PDF Spaces lets you upload PDFs, links, and docs, and turns those static files into a dynamic workspace for uncovering insights, brainstorming ideas, and surfacing recommendations. Your team can collaborate in a central workspace with a personal AI assistant where everyone can share files, comments, and notes. Busy managers can use the audio summary function to get updates quickly. And you can use the AI assistant to ask questions about your work and highlight what matters. It's less, where did I put that? And more, everything's here. If you want to try it, head to adobe.com/acrobat and check out PDF Spaces. Thank you for sponsoring creatives and readers, Adobe Acrobat. All right, back to the book. So we're back in the future past, and there are two men that come to repair the fence at Yesteryear, and it's very clear very early that Mary has a crush on one of these dudes, and like Natalie's like, ooh, my daughter's got a crush on someone. They come to the house for dinner, and Natalie has one of her moments where she's like, I've been kidnapped, help me, get me out of here, and they completely ignore her. Like, they continue the conversation as though she hadn't said anything, and it's very, very creepy.
Natalie's concerned about the crush, right? Because she's like, if Mary leaves, I'll be stuck alone here. Like, there's a fear in her of like, oh no, Mary's going to go and get a husband, and then I'm stuck here alone with my husband that I hate.
Well, and Mary's doing all the labor. Like, this is some hardcore child labor shit. Like,
yeah, exactly, yes.
This child is keeping her alive. Back in the future, a little bit creeped out by that, Natalie is 6 months pregnant with their sixth child, and Caleb tells her he's been having an affair with Shannon.
And he like loves Shannon and wants to like run away with her, right?
It is delusional.
Yeah.
Wants to move to Brooklyn with her.
Natalie confronts Shannon about this, and she's like changing in her bedroom, and Natalie notes that like her pants are down and she can see the little like rosebud on her underwear. Natalie kind of blacks out as they're fighting and comes to strangling Shannon, fully on the floor over her strangling her.
There's another weird erectile dysfunction thing going on. She's like, wait, he doesn't get hard with you?
Yeah.
To Natalie?
That's like the inciting incident.
So then Natalie's like full rage, trying to kill her.
Yeah.
I kind of got the sense that like the ideals that Natalie kind of put into, because Caleb's like an empty vessel, right? Like he wants to be a kindergarten teacher. He's not allowed. So he's connecting with the manosphere, but like, if you actually look at him authentically, it's like not really what he wants. I actually feel like if he did go to Brooklyn and was like a city boy, he probably would be way happier. So it makes sense. Like the connection is there. Obviously, Natalie's like more independent than what he's used to. So like it's not going to be a good match.
I didn't pick up on that at all.
If you just look at his character, though, it's like someone who's also trapped in this fake cowboy persona, and Shannon was like listening to him, and because Natalie doesn't like him, right? Like, and why would she? So because he felt heard, and he's kind of like maybe started listening to some of her ideas, he was starting to get wooed more into like this more open lifestyle. You know, that's how I was reading it, even though it would go nowhere actually in practice, because Shannon has her own ambition, right? She's someone who's trying to like find her own way in the world.
Well, and she at one point tells Natalie, like, you know, there's no way I would have kids with that man.
I'm not stupid enough to have kids with that man.
Oh, that's it. Oh, ice cold.
There's a couple of like banger lines that Shannon has.
That's a really good one.
Yeah.
There's this like trope that we talk about a lot where women who ascribe to this conservative ideal often find it hard to date because the conservative men are matching with liberal women on all of the apps and like trying to date liberal women. And there's a lot of discourse around like they see it as a challenge. They don't want someone who actually wants to be subservient. They want to force someone into that. Like there's a lot of different kind of domination narratives around it. But there is this like trope of conservative men being attracted to liberal women and trying to match with them on dating apps. And like women are all over TikTok being like, fuck you, you voted for Doug, or you, Doug Ford, sure. But like you voted for Trump.
Doug Ford.
But they're like constantly pursuing liberal women.
Do not like that.
Yeah, that makes me feel sick.
But now she has physically assaulted Shannon horribly. And it's wild. Like she stands up and she goes into like customer service voice and is like, I'm sorry you don't feel supported here. I think you should take the half day off and meet me in the kitchen. Like it's creepy as fuck. And if you're Shannon, you're like, I got to get out of here. They're going to kill me.
Yeah. Like run, don't walk.
Yeah. And she gets out. Natalie tries to get Doug's help. They have PR people. They have lawyers, all of the things that you would do if this happened and your father-in-law is running for president. But Shannon basically goes on like a Barbara Walters program after this and fully recounts the treatment of the ranch, the affair, the attack.
And she's been documenting things, right? Like she has all this like media evidence of what is actually happening at the farm.
She's got footage and she has a video from Clementine talking about not wanting to be part of the videos.
Oh, yeah.
This woman has like done some investigative journalism and has done a good job of it. And one of the things that was shocking, like to Doug and Natalie and Caleb, is the journalist asks Shannon if she thinks it was a sexually motivated crime because she was changing and her pants were down when it happened. And Shannon says, I can't speak to Natalie's sexuality, but it felt violating. And so at that point, Doug loses his shit because now there's like a queer accusation.
It wasn't the assault. It was the lesbian angle.
Oh, Doug at one point is like, it would have been better if Caleb had been assaulting this like 19-year-old versus like they were having a consensual affair. Did you think it was sexual? Like, did you get that from it?
No.
Not remotely. But like you said, there was kind of a blackout. So I didn't know if it was like behind the like they hid it behind a wall specifically. But I have no idea. I didn't get it from the reading.
I thought it was Shannon knew, because she's smart, the buttons to press that would fuck up that rally, the people at that rally. So I felt like she was putting Natalie in that position because of what happened, and she doesn't like Natalie. But yeah, I think it was like a clever play on Shannon's part.
Like you said, it's cutting out this new path for herself, right? So like if she can get all this dirt on this farm, that's her way out of the maze.
Oh, that's such a good way of putting it, Rick.
Oh, I had the opposite. I thought she came in really believing like, wow, she's found a way out of the rat race, and was kind of heartbroken. And then she went to the rally and she saw that, Natalie's deceptions sort of feed this bigger, like dark place that we're in politics. And that like nearly radicalized her. She's like, people need to see the truth.
I think stuff can be two things. Like, I think she was like legitimately horrified. But I think once she saw the pesticide barrels and the tiny room and she was like, okay, plan A, shit, not happening. Plan B,
yep.
All of this is really interesting as a story. And she's a producer. She's like producing a new narrative.
Yeah. She fell into the story and she did what you should do. Pull out your camera.
100%. And she seemed legitimately traumatized after that, because it is traumatizing and Natalie is bonkers. But
yeah,
she's taken this situation that she was in, which is quite horrible, and has turned it into an opportunity to get out of the maze.
And I hadn't thought really about how terrifying it would be to be miles and miles up a dirt road in the absolute middle of nowhere with people that have all the power, and you're about to expose their entire world.
So my group of friends, we make lists of good for her books and movies when you're like, good for her. And I don't have any good for hers for Natalie, but I do have a good for her for Shannon. And I'm sorry that this all happened to you, Shannon, but good for you for turning it into some money.
You did well with this terrible situation.
I wasn't that smart when I was 20. So Natalie, obviously watching this, freaks out. She takes a bunch of the mother's little helper pills that her mother-in-law had given her, and then has this like kind of dream like fight with Caleb where she's for sure high off her ass, and Caleb slaps her and tells her that Doug wants him to kill her. So this is like the first direct threat of murder, where she was like, my father wants me to fake a car accident and like get rid of you. And so now she's like in this dreamlike state being like, you're kind of too dumb to pull this off, but like, I'm not safe. This is bad.
Yeah. Doug is not too dumb to pull this off.
Yeah, Doug is not too dumb to pull this off. And she's like, you want to divorce me? And he's like, no, I'm like, my father wants me to kill you. And she's like, okay. So the stakes are high for Natalie now.
Hey friends, I want to tell you about a different podcast that we like. It's called The Secret Life of Books. It covers books you wish you read. My favorite episode is the Canterbury Tales, which I super did not read. There's a new episode every Tuesday, and you can read along with them by joining their book club. Take a listen. We think you'll like it.
Is Wuthering Heights really a love story?
Should you be afraid of Virginia Woolf?
And most importantly, is Mr. Darcy handsome enough to tempt you?
This is The Secret Life of Books.
I'm Sophie G., academic and writer.
And I'm John T. Claypole, broadcaster and producer.
In this podcast, we tell the story behind the story of the literary classics everybody wants to read, feels they should read, or has already read and loved.
We reveal the secret histories, hidden players, and big ideas behind the great books.
We show how they came into being, why they matter, and how they changed the world.
The deeper we go, the weirder the questions. Is George Orwell's 1984 on some level a comedy? Is Dracula the Freddie Mercury of horror? And why do so many literary honeymoons go wrong?
Whether you're a committed book nerd or just curious about the history of ideas, The Secret Life of Books is the podcast for you.
Heads up, friends, we're about to spoil the ending, so if you have not read it yet, please stop now. So we go back to the future past. Maeve is sick, her youngest daughter, and Natalie sees this as a way out of the ranch, like a way to go find a doctor and get out of here. So she prepares with Mary's help and heads out into the woods under the guise of finding a doctor. And she stumbles on a cabin with the word manosphere over the door. She goes in, and there is a huge family portrait of her old family in the cabin. Clementine, Stetson, Samuel, her old kids. And there are bags of fruits and vegetables with grocery store stickers on them everywhere. The neighbor boy is sitting on the chair, and she calls out and asks him for a doctor. And he turns around and he calls her mama.
That scene had like such a weird dreamlike quality to me because of the Manosphere sign. I like couldn't put one together that it was like the cabin was named Manosphere. Like I get it now that you've said it this way, but like when I saw, I was like, what is she doing? Like, what is happening here?
I also was like, what is going on?
It's not just a cabin. It's like a metal.
It's like a more modern structure.
Yeah, and the there is like it's more modern than anything that could have stood at 1850. So you're realizing, okay, she can't be in 1855, right? Like the initial premise. Up until this point, it's like, what's going on? Like, how did she get to the past? Is it really a game show? There's some indication. I figured it out once I saw the two helpers. I'm like, oh, that's definitely Stetson and Samuel. Like I was like, oh, this is like. The farm's just dilapidated over time because they've left it and they don't have money anymore.
And she hasn't put it together. Like she has not put this together yet. She's like panicking because this man just called her mama and she's very confused. But she's not putting the pieces together just yet. That this is Stetson or Samuel, one of her children.
In all fairness, I hadn't either. I don't know. I was like very dense reading this. Like I like experienced it as Natalie experienced it, which was like somewhat fun, but also I kind of feel stupid.
I feel like you and I switched roles, Tommy. Like, usually you're on it, and I'm like confused.
You were texting like, "Oh, I figured this book out early." I'm like, I was still reading it. I was like, "Figured out what?"
It's like page 10. I'm like, I know what's going on here.
And my notes get like increasingly like large font as I get like the last 10 or 15 pages. I'm just like, what is going on?
But also, you have to think we read it in the context of this is ostensibly a sci-fi podcast. So we were looking for the sci-fi hook.
I know. Even when I saw the Manosphere, I was still trying to go with like, okay, there are handlers and they have set up a woman in like some sort of bizarre situation just to see what will happen. Like I was back to like right-wing Truman Show for a second.
And that was the sneaky thing about this is that like, again, it could be a sci-fi book. It is not. But it could be.
Yeah.
You're like, where are the time travel devices? Who figured out time travel?
So there's a couple clues. So the two sons set off for me. But there was also like she was pregnant at the time in the future, right? When we first meet Natalie, and then she's not pregnant in the past, quote unquote past, and she says like, oh, she was interested in the name Mary, and then we have a Mary daughter. I feel like the earpiece that she kind of found, but she wasn't sure if she found it or just kind of like, what is it? Is it just a metal piece off the barn? I was like, yeah, this is definitely like they're in the future. And Mary was born. And for some reason, Natalie doesn't know.
So we go back to the ranch and Clementine shows up.
In a Subaru.
Her first daughter from the past future, her first modern daughter, who is now like an adult, a young adult, like in her late teens. And Natalie is having these like flash forwards to a news interview that it's being explained that after this thing happened with Shannon, Natalie ripped out her floors, renovated the house out of any sign of modernity, and started living like a real trad wife from the 1800s. She realizes that Mary is her sixth child, the one she was pregnant with when the Shannon scandal went down. And she's kind of flashing back to toddler days with Mary, where she's saying, we're going to play pretend. We're going to pretend it's the olden days. And she realizes that the other children left when Clementine turned 16 because they were not playing pretend. They were like, this is abuse. You're taking away their electricity. You've taken away their hot water. You've taken away their access to like any sort of normal childhood.
Well, and even nutritious food, right? Like goes to the point of malnourishment.
And at one point she sees, and this really got me, she sees Clementine standing next to Mary. And she's like, oh, basically like Mary looks sick. Like Mary's teeth are orange. She's clearly malnourished. She's clearly too small. And like, she doesn't say like, we've been horribly abusing these children, but like you are seeing this is what this kid should look like. And this is how they've raised her. And she's been abused for all of these years.
What a horrifying scene. I could not imagine that to do that to a child seems like such a terrible, terrible thing. That was really jarring.
Me and my wife are in the middle of like sleep training our daughter. And like just like setting a timer for 10 minutes and like waiting until she goes to sleep while she's crying is extremely hard because you want to rush in and pick her up and comfort her. And it's, but yeah, I cannot imagine the neglect that it would take, how much you must hate this child in order to do that.
And how much you must hate yourself to like put yourself in a situation where you're torturing. And she's saying like really young kids are really malleable. So like Mary caught on and it was fine, but I couldn't. So my brain started to, like her brain started to fracture. She couldn't. And that's why she doesn't remember these choices that she made. She ordered all the reenactment clothing. She like forced her very young kids to pretend with her like this for years until they left because of the abuse and neglect. And then she kept having babies. And there's a line and all it says is, I don't recommend having babies in 1855. And you kind of get this backstory of Maeve, who has always kind of been described as young, like a young kid. And so this is why we could think that maybe Natalie was pregnant, because we think that Maeve is young. And it turns out Maeve is 10, but developmentally delayed because she was born on the farm with no medical care and wasn't breathing when she was born. And there was no doctor, no hospital. And eventually they did get her breathing, but it gave her a potential brain injury. And so it's not just the nutrition and the neglect. It's like the medical abuse and the medical neglect that these children have experienced.
But also, like, I don't think she's like in a right mental state to be taking care of kids either, right?
So the twist of this is like, she's not time traveling. This isn't purgatory. This isn't the Truman Show. They chose this. Specifically, Natalie chose this.
She chose this. And Caleb, empty vessel, is like, yeah, sure.
And did this to her children. And we also realize that the Manosphere cabin, where Stetson and Samuel are, they've been keeping them alive. Caleb didn't all of a sudden figure out how to become a fucking provider and a farmer. They've just been giving him.
Yeah, it's Stetson like peeling the labels off the fruits and vegetables. Like that's the scene you walk into. He's taking all the stickers off. Yeah.
He goes and watches sports all day and comes home with veggies.
And that is what, they have a 13-year-old son that at one point he's like, I'm going to take you out into the woods. You're 13 now, and I'm going to show you how to be a man. And he fully just takes him to this Manosphere cabin and they watch football all day. Like, as soon as I get to be part of the patriarchy, I get this like cheat code out of everything. And the women are going to be left to do all of the hard labor and continue to toil. And I will get this like life of leisure.
Oof.
Yeah, that theme totally went over my head, Sarah. I was like, why does he bring him out to the, like, I was like, what are they doing out there?
Tommy and I assumed they were out working on the time machine in the cabin.
And Maeve says, when do I get to go into the woods? And they say never.
I felt so conflicted with this ending because, like, I liked it in one hand, but I also felt like I'm not a huge fan when you like use amnesia as a mental health break. You know, up until this point, is the mental health breakdown of Natalie has been pretty textured, and then all of a sudden she's fractured to the point where like it's a convenient device. I don't think it's like how most people would experience mental health challenges that she just wouldn't remember. So I felt conflicted about that depiction of mental health a little bit. But then I also love thematically like what Caro Claire Burke was trying to do.
Yeah, to me, it plays on the unreliable narrator where you're only getting one part of her. Like she's essentially fractured her mind. So she's living these different lives and has different memories about like what she did in the past. And I think you're just getting this one slice. And the life that she's living there is textured and is varied, but they're only describing this one mental state that she's in at particular times.
Yeah, so like it makes sense to the themes of the book. I just think like the reality of how mental health is stigmatized and the way it's depicted, there's like a gap there.
Yeah. I very much like you just like could not figure out how I felt at the end of the book. I read it and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this book.
Yeah.
The one thing that I wish she'd made a different choice was that Maeve was developmentally delayed, and that's why she was seen as almost like a toddler throughout. Like I was like, oh, I don't know how to feel about that choice. But I did think it being a mental break and it being her choice was an interesting feminist critique, because you do have to break yourself to carry water for the patriarchy. Like you do have to go against your humanity and your instincts and your ability to be an individual and have agency in your life. And you do have to break yourself to stay into that mold and to be what it wants you to be. And I appreciated that, like, we got the lens of like this woman who faked the subservience in a way for a long time. And she was subservient in certain aspects, financially, et cetera. But it was, I'm going to teach you to be this trad wife that I'm not really actually, and then going to the reality of what that would be like, because that is the world that she was helping create for other women. I liked that as like a mirror to our world right now. So I thought it would be cool if there was actually a civil war, that like Doug was being like, there's going to be a civil war. And like, that's why they ended up like that. I was like, that would have been a cool choice too. But I appreciate the choice that she made here.
I read it the densest possible way and kind of enjoyed that. like Clementine's here? Like, what?
Was she from outer space?
Man, it's great. Just like smooth brained this entire book.
I read this book twice, and there was a moment that I didn't pick up on the first time I read it, because I was like halfway between Andrew and Tommy. I was like picking some things up and I had an idea of what was going on, but not as soon as Andrew did. And there's a moment where like it's clear that Mary has a crush on her brother, and Caleb is disturbed.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and she's like, Caleb seems disturbed. I wonder why. And she also is like, this doesn't feel good. But she doesn't know that they're siblings. And I look back and I'm like, oh, that's so gross. Like and like, would they have just let her, like, what? Did anything happen? Like, I don't. Ugh.
That is breadcrumbed well, because you could also read it as like the dad is like overly protective of his virginal daughter, you know, and
It's
but
brother.
it's not.
It's her brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wild.
Clementine gets to the ranch. This part I like didn't vibe with. She's like, I have a warrant to take the children. I'm like, you're not an officer of the law. What is happening?
Okay. Cops serve warrants. You don't give the warrant for parental abuse to a different child and be like, your problem.
You go get the kids.
There's guns on this property. And I flash back to, because I read Ruby Frankie's daughter's memoir for this, and they, like a SWAT team busted in their door with guns because they knew there were guns in the house and they knew these kids were being abused. And like, that's probably what would have happened. But anyway, so we're suspending disbelief. Apparently a child can go and serve a warrant and pick up a bunch of children. That's weird. But she's like, I'm taking the kids. Like, you guys are horrible and you're going to prison. All the kids just go. And it's funny because like there are these moments earlier where the two boys are like play acting, like people coming to take them, and you know, and they're like, we could go up here and we would fight.
Full cult. They're preparing.
And they're just like little kids, right? They just get in the car and they've never seen a car before. So they're pretty freaked out. And Natalie asks to come. She said, okay, I'm coming with you. And Clementine's like, absolutely not. You are not coming with me. So she takes the kids and she's left there with Caleb. And the kids are in the car and terrified and screaming and crying. And it's a pretty upsetting. It's a very upsetting scene.
Yeah. It's at the end, Natalie and Caleb are left holding hands alone in their fake farm bullshit by themselves. So the two empty husks that were forced to this Flora farm are the only people that are remaining trapped on it. So I thought that was a really, really good thematically. Also, like them pretending, oh, someone's coming to take us and running drills very much reminded me of like the book Educated by Tara Westover, who's like her account of becoming, she was kind of in a Mormon situation where she wasn't allowed to get educated. Then her grandmother helped her. And so I do think that that's like a very real thing that Caro Claire Burke was like playing off of in these circles, which is like the man's coming to get you. The government's coming to get you.
Yes, 100%. Even in less nefarious right-wing cultures, this like, you know, prepare for civil war and like, I don't know, fetishizing some sort of Second Amendment glory day. I don't know why they do this, but they all want to be G.I. Joe.
I think that's why Maeve, like, I know, Sarah, you felt icky about it, but I felt like Maeve, I liked the inclusion of it in many ways, because I do feel like the rejection of formal institutions, healthcare often gets put by the wayside. And, you know, full disclosure, I'm someone who I'm married to a medical worker, and like the more that I know of those people, I'm like, they are like heroes, right? The things that they do to help others on their worst days of their lives, and like to vilify those people and to reject the advancements that they've made. I do think it would put like a child at risk.
Mhm. Oh, it does all the time.
And we're doing this right now. It's socially acceptable in parts of the United States to just like not vaccinate your children.
Against life-threatening, debilitating illnesses.
That's right. So I felt like it was a good depiction in my mind, because I do think it's a byproduct of this culture of like, I just want to be independent on a farm, even though it takes a society to put that together with roads and electricity and the grocery store that you're faking to that's farm. Like, you can't get away from society. You can't do that. That's a fantasy. And you aren't helping your children fulfill the maximum potential that they have to offer.
Well, and Natalie ends up serving 30 years in prison for 4 counts of aggravated child abuse. And so the book finishes with a fast forward 5 years later. Rena, her old roommate from college, is interviewing her.
Who lived in her head every day.
Yes.
The foil has become a journalist, and Natalie is giving an interview from prison. Like her ankles are shackled, and they go to the house, and she keeps saying, "This isn't my house." Like, we're getting kind of, she's still not mentally fully okay. She's like, there would never be muffins. There were biscuits. There would never be muffins in 1855. It's like, it's pretty entertaining. But Rena is interviewing Natalie while she's serving her 30-year sentence. And Natalie's like internal monologue is on full display. Like, she's being like, I was always prettier than you. I was always smarter than you. Like, she's a huge cunt. Like, she's an asshole to Rena. But Rena is talking about her daughter, Mary, has written a memoir called The Book of Mary, which is very similar to Ruby Frankie's daughter wrote the memoir that I read called The House of My Mother. And she reads her the opening sequence of it, talking about her life on this farm and what's happened to her. And it's emotionally devastating.
I think it starts off with like, I love my mom or something like that. And then like all the terrible ways that she was abused.
She calls Clementine an angel. So like, Clementine appeared to her in the forest and told her, if you want a better life, come with me. And she didn't want, this is all she knew. And so it was like also the trauma of like, yes, the forced labor, yes, the lack of healthcare and vaccines and dental care and malnutrition, but also like, this person thought this was how the world was, and the trauma of like that breaking for them and the fracturing of their world, which you've basically created what you made for yourself for your daughter.
Clementine is describing at one point when she left. I'll just read part of it. So she says, "Do you know, Mother, what the hardest part of leaving you was? It wasn't walking through the woods with the kids or waiting for a car to stop. It wasn't moving in with Grandma, all 5 of us in a single room. It was months after I'd gotten to the other side when I realized that every single thing you told me about the world was a lie." She goes on, "Everything was so much better than I thought it would be. The people were nicer. The cities were cleaner. I was right. It was better living with Grandma and Abigail than it was with you. And when they took us to see the ocean," she stops, her breath suddenly shaky. She inhales deeply. She exhales, speaks again. "I just didn't get it. I didn't get when my family never wanted to be a part of it." I don't know. That hit really hard for me. Like, growing up in this world where you're like a little cloistered, not this much, good God. But yeah, like, dude, the world is big and awesome. Why don't you want to be part of it? Like, have you seen mountains that like have snow all the time? I hadn't. It's amazing. Have you seen the ocean? It's crazy. Like, get out there.
That is just another layer of the abuse that these kids, like the abuse of taking away possibility from someone's life. You don't have the infrastructure to dream.
I don't want to over dramatize it, but that happens all the time. That's still there's like huge numbers of people that just, they're cloistered, often because of religion, and they just don't know what's possible.
So the book ends at the end of the Mary passage that Rena, the journalist, is reading. And she's on the highway in the car, terrified. All of the kids are crying. But the last lines of the book are, "A moment later, I opened my eyes. We were flying, hurtling into the future toward a world I couldn't yet begin to imagine. For the first time in my life, I smiled." Oh,
That's it.
This is fundamentally, like, there are a lot of themes of gender and surveillance and right-wing ideology and religion here, but like, this is a book about child abuse.
Yeah, I think it explores different kinds of abuse as well. Like definitely there's a lot of people that are not being treated well in this book.
There's a piece of my family that was part of a more religious sect, and many of them ran away. But it's also, to me, it's like the resonance of ignorance and the resonance of this inauthentic lifestyle or these roles that we're put into. It doesn't stop with you. You reflect it on your children. You create little monsters that go off to become big monsters, right? And then they enact issues that they can't cope with on others. And that's just how it works. So I felt like that she was trying to capture that. So it was about child abuse, but also about like the abuse of the system on Caleb and Natalie as well.
Yeah, I see. That's a good take for sure.
The people that I know that were stuck in this, like it does depict that accurately.
Yeah, I think that the like patriarchy as a system and a structure is a trap. And especially for women, if you try to glorify the trap and be like, look at my beautiful trap. Look at the pastel colors of my trap, of my prison. I've like decorated the prison beautifully. The aesthetics of this prison are gorgeous. That like that you can maintain that maybe for a couple of years and then you are in a prison. It will eventually manifest as exactly what it is, which is an oppressive prison. It's interesting. There's this whole kind of question that's being asked in these circles often are like, where are the 47-year-old tradwives?
Mm-hmm.
Where's their content at?
Ooh.
It's not a sustainable lifestyle you can glamorize forever. You are going to end up either divorced with nothing and no education and no ability to support yourself financially with a shitload of children, which is a terrifying trap of its own, or you are like disillusioned of this life, but you have to stay for whatever reasons are there.
Yeah, you got to get out of the system somehow. It's going to be one of those levers.
There's a moment that sticks with me that her sister Abigail comes to visit her when she's in like the depths of postpartum depression. She's like really visibly not doing well. And her sister says something like, it's really hard, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's not what you thought it would be, isn't it? And she extends this like olive branch of solidarity.
Yeah. And it's like relatable like she wants to agree, but then she doesn't.
And then she shuts it down and like fully upholds the like, it's, you know, it's wonderful, it's magical, it's beautiful, blah, blah, blah. And like shames her sister for even having said it.
Even though they're the exact thoughts that Natalie's having. Like that's tough.
You're like, there's a glimpse of like, there's like a path she could have gone down where she's like, get help for your postpartum depression, have solidarity with your sister, potentially get away from Caleb and his family. And like, she chooses to continue the cosplay, continue the mask.
What a book. What a fucking book.
Of all of the characters that we've read, I think Natalie is my favorite.
Really?
Not because I like her. Yeah, I wanted to like her so much. I like wanted to root for her, but she's awful.
Yeah.
Just she's so conflicted. She does poorly with a very bad hand in terms of like a belief system that does her no favors and expectations that do her no favors. I was quite devastated by the end.
Yeah, you keep expecting there to be some redemption arc, and there just isn't. Like, she just remains the same throughout the entirety of the book. And like, realistically, that's probably the way it would go.
Like, I think there's some plot stuff you're like, oh, I don't know. But the character, I just, like, she's going to live in my head for a long time.
And I know a lot of people, the thing that people say about this book is like, oh, I had trouble reading it because I hated the main character so much. I think Caro Claire Burke did a great job of like making an extremely unreliable, awful person be textured and realistic. I understand her motivations. Like, I get the villain origin story of why she's like this.
All her decisions can make sense. Like, all of them are relatable. You can see how she got to where she ends up.
I didn't like her, but I liked being in her head. Like, I enjoyed the experience of being in her head for a period of time just to like get that experience. It was a good mirror to hold up to the world and like make us think about what we've done to women and what women do to each other. Well, If you haven't read Yesteryear, you should go read it because it is a journey.
It's still a trip, man.
Yep.
It's too late now. It's pretty spoiled.
Even if you haven't read it and we spoiled it, go ahead and read it.
Still read it.
We don't cover everything.
The second reading of it picked up on so many things. It's a trip to read it the second time, even when you know what's happening.
It's really, I kind of want to read it again. It's amazing that she's layered in these hints that you could completely take as part of this deranged world. Like the only one where you're like, nope, makes no sense is the lapel mic that she finds. And even she doubts her own narrative about that. She eventually is like, was it just a weird pebble?
Yeah, the breadcrumbs are very obvious on the second read. You're like, oh, okay. Shit.
On the second read?
Not to brag, but I found them very obvious in the first read.
Yeah, but if you're looking for a sci-fi bend, they're much harder to see.
Oh, sci-fi friends, no time travel. I'm sorry, but we didn't know that when we chose it.
I was just on a journey.
That's okay. Books can be good even when they're not sci-fi.
Just before we go, I want to share some exciting news. We have something new over on Patreon. It's called Pagenerd Weekenders, and it's bonus episodes about books you can crush in a weekend. It's just for our Patreon members to say thank you for supporting us and helping us to make the show. So if you want to join us, go to patreon.com/Pagenerd, and you'll get access to our first Pagenerd Weekender. Pagenerd is Rick Vieweg, Tommy Guy, Andrew Corway, and me, Sarah Stockdale. The producer is Jay Cockburn. Next episode, we're reading The Three-Body Problem by Leo Sishin. Happy reading. Sorry, Jay.